The silence of your small dwelling is a shroud, woven from the dust motes dancing in the meager light and the memory of a career unraveled. You trace the rim of a cooling mug, the ceramic ruff beneath your thumb, a testament to countless solitary mornings. The city outside, a distant hum, feels like a world you once inhabited, a vibrant tapestry now frayed at the edges of your perception. Your name, Seth Corbin, echoes with a hollowness that only the past can carve. You rise, the floorboards groaning beneath your weight, a familiar protest. The faint scent of stale coffee and old paper clings to the air, a scent you no longer notice. Your gaze drifts to the corkboard tacked above a cluttered desk, a mosaic of faded photographs and cryptic notes. The faces are ghosts now, victims whose pleas you failed to answer, whose killers slip through your grasp like smoke. The central image, an old police sketch, stares back with vacant eyes, the face of the first victim, a face you've seen in nightmares for too long. It was the lack of a discernible motive, the meticulous, almost artistic precision of the staging that had baffled everyone, ultimately breaking you. A sudden, insistent vibration shatters the quiet, pulling you back from the precipice of memory. Your old flip phone, a relic in an era of sleek screens, dances across the wooden surface. The caller ID displays only a number, unfamiliar yet carrying an unspoken weight. Hesitation, a breath held too long, then you answer, the plastic cool against your ear. Seth, a voice crackles through the line, strained, urgent. It belongs to a former colleague, a detective whose face you haven't seen in years. They found another. Downtown. You need to see this. A tremor, subtle yet undeniable, runs through you. Another what? Your voice is a low rasp, unused to sudden urgency. It's like he others Seth. The message. The corkboard flashes in your mind. The old sketch. The meticulous patterns. No, it couldn't be. Not after all this time. You swore you'd never go back. You swore you'd buried that life. The address given is one you know, an imposing edifice of glass and steel in the financial district, usually teeming with life, now a mausoleum under the cloak of night. You dress quickly, the familiar weight of old jeans and a worn leather jacket a comfort. Your movements are precise, almost mechanical, the muscle memory of a man once defined by crisis. You grab your keys, a faint tremor in your hand, the only betraying sign of the storm brewing within. The drive through the city is a blur, the streetlights streaking past like phantom limbs. The air grows heavy with the unspoken promise of violence, a tangible presence. You park several blocks away, the yellow tape already a vibrant, garish ribbon against the muted urban landscape. Uniformed officers mill about, their faces grim, illuminated by the flashing strobes of emergency vehicles. You flash an old, laminated ID card, not a badge, but a press pass you sometimes use for freelance work, a flimsy shield against probing questions. A uniformed officer, young and visibly shaken, points you towards a side entrance, an unmarked door leading into the belly of the building. The detective, your former colleague, spots you first. He doesn't offer a handshake, just a curt nod, an unspoken acknowledgement of the chasm between your past and present roles. So, each step feels heavy, leading you deeper into the past, into the very heart of the nightmare you thought you had outrun. The tension in the air is a palpable thing, a pressure building behind your eyes. Finally, you reach a vast, cavernous space. This is the midnight trading floor with dead screens. The air here is thick with a metallic tang of something foul, something visceral. Rows upon rows of silent monitors stare back, their black surfaces reflecting the stark, unfeeling emergency lights. The once vibrant data streams are gone, replaced by an eerie stillness, a digital graveyard. And then you see it almost a silhouette in the stark lighting, lies sprawled across a cluster of trading desks. The body is a man, dressed in a sharp business suit, now disheveled and stained. But it's not just the death that arrests you. It's the meticulous arrangement. His hands are carefully positioned, fingers splayed, forming a specific, almost ritualistic pattern that sends a jolt of recognition through you. Your breath catches the old sketch on your corkboard, the details you'd memorized, the patterns the first victims had presented. They are all here. The killer didn't just return. The killer never left. You stare at the scene, the tableau of death mocking your years of quiet solitude. The determined glint in your eyes, long dormant, sparks to life. This isn't just a new case. It's the ghost of your past demanding to be laid to rest. And this time, you won't let it slip away. The pressure builds, a silent, suffocating presence that wraps around you as the corridors stretch, then give way to an expansive, cavernous space. The air here is cooler, carrying the faint, metallic scent of dormant machinery and a lingering ghost of ambition. Row upon row of monitors stand dark, their glassy surfaces reflecting the emergency lights in distorted, elongated blurs. The silence is profound, broken only by the low, almost imperceptible hum of ventilation and the distant murmur of the city. A world away from this desolate chamber, you walk between the silent workstations, the ergonomic chairs pushed haphazardly, a phantom echo of frantic activity. Each desk, a small universe once alive with data and urgency, now lies abandoned, a monument to something lost. It is the senior detective, his face etched with a weariness that mirrors your own, though perhaps for different reasons. His eyes, when they meet yours, hold a complex mixture of resentment and a desperate, unacknowledged plea. It's not a question, it's an accusation veiled as a statement of fact. He doesn't need to elaborate. The words hang heavy, a lead weight in the stagnant air. You approach the screens, your steps measured, each one a reluctant return to a past you'd painstakingly bricked away. A victim, meticulously posed, a single, antique silver coin placed upon their closed eyelids. The details are precise, unnervingly so. The way the light catches the metallic sheen of the coin, the deliberate placement of the body, the eerie stillness that transcends the photograph itself. It all screams a name you've tried to forget. Same coin, you observe, your voice rough, a stranger's utterance. The senior detective nods, his gaze fixed on the screen, as if trying to decipher the killer's intent through the pixels. Same MO, the placement, the scene, even the chosen location, a place of finance, of quiet, unobserved power. The victim, too, a junior analyst, just like the first one, all those years ago. He turns to you fully now, his expression grim. We thought he was gone or dead, but this is him, Seth. No doubt. The precision, the message. He back, or he never left. Your mind, a reluctant archive, begins to pull up old files, dusty corners of memory you'd hoped would remain undisturbed. The victim's name from the old case, the specific type of silver coin, the almost ritualistic staging. It's all there. An unwelcome flood of detail. You see the pattern forming, a grotesque mosaic pieced together by a phantom hand. Their lives, cut short, became the killer's canvas. Why me? You ask, the words tasting like ash. You know the answer, of course, but you need to hear it to weigh the burden. The senior detective's sigh is heavy, laden with the weight of shared history and unspoken failures. Because you were the only one who saw it, Seth. The only one who understood the why. The rest of us, you saw the design, even if you couldn't catch the designer. His voice drops, a plea now clearly audible beneath the gruff exterior. We're out of time and out of options. We need your twisted perspective. We need you to tell us what he's saying this time. You run a hand over your jaw, the stubble rasping beneath your fingers. The dead screens around you seem to hum with a silent accusation, their blank faces reflecting the emptiness you've carried since the last case shattered your life. The choice isn't really a choice at all. It's an obligation, a debt that demands payment. The hum, no longer an accusation, has become a low thrumming in your own veins, a vibration of undeniable truth. The killer, the phantom that tore your world apart, is back. Or perhaps, never truly left. You pace the polished floor, the echo of your steps swallowed by the cavernous space. The air, heady with the ghosts of forgotten transactions, feels thin, too thin for the weight pressing on your chest. You cannot wait for official channels, for the slow grind of a system that once chewed you up and spat you out. This is yours, a burden you never truly shed. Your gaze falls upon a disused maintenance panel, almost invisible against the steel gray wall. Behind it, a forgotten recess, a private vault of your own making. The scent of aged paper and dried ink rises, a bitter perfume of past failures. These are the archives of your obsession, the cold cases that became a fever. You pull out the thickest file, its edges worn smooth by countless nights of restless handling. The Ravenwood series, the tab reads, a name whispered in hushed tones even now. You spread the contents across a makeshift table fashioned from an overturned crate. Grainy photographs of desolate scenes, handwritten notes, witness statements, forensic reports, all meticulously preserved. Your old contact. It's done. The voice crackles, a low murmur against the stack. The preliminary report. Redacted, but enough for you. Sent it to the usual secure drop. Anything a pause. Too distinct, Seth. That's the problem. Too much like the old ones. But there's an anomaly. Elaborate. Not over this line. Just read the report. You'll see it. It's the kind of thing most would miss, but you won't. The line goes dead, leaving you with a fresh wave of unease. You retrieve your secure tablet, its screen a stark beacon in the gloom, and access the encrypted file. The new case details bloom into view. A victim discovered in an abandoned warehouse. The method of incapacitation, the precise ligature marks on the wrists and ankles, the meticulous placement of the body. It's all there, a horrifying echo of the Ravenwood series. Your eyes dart between the old and the new, comparing, contrasting, searching for the anomaly your contact spoke of. The old case files are a visceral memory etched into your very being. Each victim in the Ravenwood series was found with a small, intricately folded origami crane, a signature, a macabre flourish left by the killer. You flipped through the old photos, pointing to the delicate paper bird nestled beside a victim's hand or tucked into a pocket. Always there, a constant. Then you scroll back to the new report. You scrutinize every pixel of the new scene photographs, zooming in on details, scanning the periphery, the abandoned warehouse, the dust motes dancing in the weak light, the industrial decay. The victim, arranged with grim familiarity. But something is missing. Your breath catches. The crane. There is no crane. The absence screams louder than any presence could. It's not an oversight. It's a deliberate omission. Every other detail, from the precise knot of the binding to the calculated angle of the head, aligns perfectly with the established pattern. Yet, the signature, the one undeniable flourish that branded the Ravenwood killer, is gone. You lean back, the cold metal of the crate digging into your spine. This isn't a copycat. A copycat would mimic every detail, perhaps even exaggerate the signature. This is the original, but evolved. The Phantom Killer has returned, but with a new layer of cunning. Why remove the crane? To misdirect? To appear as a different killer? Or perhaps a less artistic one? Or is it a message? A subtle taunt meant only for you, Seth, the one who failed to decipher the origami's meaning all those years ago. The tension in the air thickens, pressing down on you like a physical weight. And you, Seth, are already writing yourself back into its blood-stained pages. And now, the hunt begins anew. The chill of the cavernous space seeps into your bones, a cold more profound than mere temperature. The vast expanse of darkened monitors stretches before you, an army of slumbering eyes reflecting your solitary form in their inky depths. Each terminal, a testament to frantic, forgotten transactions, now hums with a barely perceptible, mournful current. The air itself feels thin, tasting of recycled data and the ghosts of ambition. Your secure tablet, a defiant rectangle of light, casts an island glow on the polished floor. The encrypted file, a fresh wound in your memory, is open. Just read the report. You'll see it, you won't. You scroll, your thumb a hesitant brush against the glass. The new case details unfold. Stark photographs of a scene eerily familiar. The victim, a young scholar, found in a deserted archive, surrounded by stacks of ancient texts. The cause of death, a precise, almost surgical incision, leaving minimal external trauma. Your breath catches, a shallow rasp in your throat. This is not mere coincidence. This is a cruel reprise. Then you see it, a detail, subtle, almost artistic in its placement. A single pressed narcissus, its delicate petals still vibrant, tucked beneath the victim's left hand. It's a flourish, a signature, not a random act of a killer, but a deliberate, almost taunting echo of the past. The caller was right. Most would miss it, dismiss it as a morbid quirk. But you, Seth, you remember the meticulousness, the quiet arrogance of the killer who left such a calling card. He never stopped. He merely waited. Your gaze travels over the dead screens, each one a dormant eye, and for a fleeting moment, you imagine them waking, displaying your own failures in stark, digital relief. The determination hardens in your jaw, a grim resolve. Suddenly, the tablet vibrates, a sharp pulse against your palm. Not an internal notification from the file. This is external, an incoming message. Encrypted, untraceable. Your fingers, steady despite the tremor in your gut, tap the screen. A single image blooms on the display. It's a photograph, grainy, taken in low light. The subject is instantly recognizable. Your old desk, in the precinct's forgotten evidence room, where your personal effects were stored after your dismissal. On the scarred wooden surface, among the dusty remnants of your past, a worn leather notebook, a chipped coffee mug, sits a small, tarnished silver compass. The very compass your grandfather gave you. The one you always kept on your desk, a constant reminder to find your way. It was the one item they allowed you to keep, a sentimental anchor in a sea of professional wreckage. The killer knows your name. The killer knows your vulnerabilities. Your heart, a drum against your ribs, hammers a furious rhythm. The compass. No one knew about that compass, not its significance, not its presence on that specific desk. No one but you, and perhaps the colleague who cleared out your things, but they would never. This is intimate knowledge. This is a personal invasion. The killer didn't just return. He was always there, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to ensnare you again. The pressure intensifies, a physical weight on your chest. This isn't a distant puzzle to solve. It's a snare laid specifically for you, baited with the very failures that defined your disgrace. The phrase where you've always been twists in your gut. Dracked, haunted, disgraced. Is that what he means? Is he mocking your stagnation, your inability to move on? The game has changed. This is no longer an investigation you can observe from the periphery. You are not merely a former detective with a keen eye for patterns. You are the target, the chosen adversary. The phantom killer has reached out, not to hide, but to challenge. And in this moment, standing amidst the dead screens of a forgotten world, you know with an absolute certainty that you will answer. You will find him, not just for the victims, but for yourself, to finally break free from the path he claims you can never unwalk. The stakes have just become impossibly personal. The words emblazoned on the central monitor are not a digital anomaly, but a direct assault. Seth Corbin, you remember. Your breath catches, a ragged gasp in the sudden, cavernous quiet. The silence, previously just the absence of noise, now pulses with a malevolent presence, an unseen predator watching from the periphery of your awareness. Footsteps echo from the entrance, sharp and quick against the polished concrete. The precinct chief, a figure of weary authority, strides in, his gaze sweeping the expanse of the floor, settling on the illuminated screen. Behind him, the detective, a sharp-eyed woman whose reputation precedes her, moves with a practiced efficiency, her eyes already cataloging, assessing. A forensic technician, already gloved and masked, begins to meticulously photograph the scene. Each flash will pop a staccato beat in the unfolding drama. Hours bleed into each other, a blur of questioning and documentation. A volatile individual, known for grand gestures, left under a cloud of accusations of embezzlement. The timing, the location it fits. A disgruntled former employee, you ask, the words tasting like ash. That's your primary suspect? He has motive, opportunity, a history of erratic behavior. She counters, a hint of steel in her tone. The security logs show his access card was attempted at the rear service entrance just hours before the incident. And the message? A desperate attempt to misdirect, to throw us off the scent by implicating an old case, an old ghost, a not Titans in your gut. It's plausible, too plausible. The narrative fits neatly, a convenient explanation for the chaos. This isn't the work of a hot-headed, desperate man. This is precise, deliberate. While the official investigation pivots, focusing its considerable resources on tracking down this former employee, you find yourself drawn back to the screen, to the silent words that accuse and taunt. The forensic technician is packing away her equipment, satisfied with her captures. A uniformed officer stands guard, his attention occasionally straying to the entrance. You seize the moment, a ghost of your former self slipping through the edges of their focus. You approach the central monitor again, the dead screens reflecting your own haunted visage. The message remains, a digital scar. Seth Corbin, you remember. You trace the letters with your eyes, not just the words, but the subtle nuances of their display. The font, a standard system default, offers no immediate clues, but then a flicker, a barely perceptible difference in the pixelation of the E in remember compared to the other E's. It's almost imperceptible, an artifact of the screen, perhaps, but your old training, the meticulous eye that cost you everything, refuses to dismiss it. You lean closer, your breath fogging the cool glass. Not an artifact, a faint, almost invisible overlay. You reach out, your finger hovering, then gently wiping the screen. A faint smear, not dust, not grime, something else. A residue, a fine, almost crystalline powder clinging to the glass around that particular letter. Your mind races, connecting disparate threads. If the killer used a remote access tool, why touch the screen at all? Why leave any physical trace? Unless they were here, physically, for a moment, to add that specific, almost invisible detail. And if they were here, then the former employee attempting to access a backdoor becomes a convenient distraction, a red herring. The killer wanted the police to find that log, to pursue that lead. You pull out a small, almost forgotten evidence kit from your jacket pocket, a relic from another life, a small brush, a glass-sign bag. With painstaking care, you collect a minuscule sample of the powder from around the E, placing it in the bag. It's not much, barely a speck, but it's something. It's a physical touch, a direct interaction that doesn't fit the profile of a distant, digital phantom. The detective's voice cuts through your focused intensity. Corbin, anything else? She asks, her eyes narrowed, sensing your renewed scrutiny. You pocket the bag quickly, smoothly. No, you reply, meeting her gaze. Just, you watch as the precinct chief and the detective confer, their voices low, their attention firmly fixed on the former employee as their prime suspect. They've found their answer, a neat, digestible narrative. And you, Seth Corbin, are once again alone on the precipice of a truth no one else sees, haunted by a past that refuses to stay buried. It presses against your skin, a palpable weight that makes the air feel thinner, harder to draw into your lungs. You trace the edge of a dormant monitor with a gloved finger, the glass slick with a fine film of dust, reflecting nothing but the dim emergency lights humming in the distance. Each item a shard of a shattered life, each case a stain on your past. The old files, brittle with age, lie beside the glossy prints of the new crime, the similarities jarring, a cruel echo across the years. A convenient fit. Your gaze drifts from the crumpled fabric of a victim's shirt to the precise angle of a discarded object at another scene, decades apart. The faces in the photographs blur, a kaleidoscope of suffering. But something else begins to sharpen. A faint tremor, a recurring ripple in the fabric of each tableau. You've dismissed it before, filed it under unrelated debris or random damage. But now, under the stark scrutiny of this desolate floor, a pattern begins to assert itself, insistent as a heartbeat. It's not a symbol carved with intent, not a crude signature left in plain sight. You lean closer to a photograph of the first victim, the one that broke you. Her apartment, pristine save for the violence, yet there, nestled near a fallen lamp, a tiny, almost invisible chip in the hardwood floor. A sliver of wood, barely larger than a grain of rice, missing. You remember the reports, minor floor damage, likely from struggle. You remember dismissing it. Your eyes flick to another case, years later, a warehouse dock. The victim slumped against a stack of crates. And there, on the rough concrete beneath the pallet, a similar minute abrasion, a tiny, distinct gouge. Again, attributed to the struggle, to the chaos. An abandoned factory, the victim near a crumbling brick wall. And there, etched into the mortar, a fine, almost hair-thin scratch, perfectly linear, barely visible. You begin to see it everywhere now that your mind is attuned. Not always a missing piece, not always a scratch. Sometimes, it's an arrangement. 3 small, mundane objects: a button, a pebble, a spent bullet casing placed in a precise, equidistant triangle around a victim's head. Another scene, a broken ceramic shard, a twisted metal scrap, a small, polished stone, forming an identical geometric configuration. It's the consistency, not the objects themselves, but their placement, the implied geometry. Always 3 points, always subtly defined, always easily overlooked as mere detritus of a violent encounter. But they are not random, they are deliberate. You gather the photographs, arranging them on the table. The first victim, the chip in the floor, the dock worker, the concrete gouge, the factory victim, the scratch in the mortar, and now the latest, the new body in the underground bunker. You zoom in on the forensic photos, your breath catching. There, on the metal plating of the bunker wall, a series of 3 shallow, almost perfectly parallel score marks, each identical in length, arranged like the points of an inverted triangle. It's a pattern of 3, always 3, subtly signifying a 4th, a missing element, an unspoken completion. Each scene, meticulously curated, leaves behind this barely, their signpost. It's a language understood only by the perpetrator and, now, by you. This isn't about the act of killing itself, but about the creation around the act. The victims are merely components in a larger, evolving design. The pattern of 3, hinting at a 4th, suggests an ongoing series, a collection. The killer isn't just taking lives, they are building something, a perverse mosaic of suffering, a monument to their own warped sense of order. A tremor runs through you, not of fear, but of a terrible clarity. This isn't chaos. The decades between the crime's arts periods of dormancy, but phases of meticulous planning, of seeking out the next piece for their macabre collection. The killer never left. They were simply waiting, assembling, always adhering to their silent, geometric creed. You stare at the arrangement of photos, the subtle, repeated pattern jumping out, undeniable. You have seen the killer's true motive, not in a scream or a confession, but in the meticulous geometry of their work. The hunt, you realize, has just begun. Not a residue of decay, but of something manufactured, something rare. The city outside is a hushed beast, its usual roar muted to a low purr. You navigate its arterial roads, the mica dust clinging to your senses, a phantom scent of ozone and earth. The journey from the concrete canyons of finance to the secluded bluff is a descent into another world. The security grid, a spiderweb of invisible beams, is sophisticated, but your old instincts guide your hands, your breath a silent prayer against discovery. You find the weakness, a less monitored service tunnel, half hidden by overgrown ivy, leading downwards, away from the main residence. The lock, a rusted relic, yields with a muffled click under the precise pressure of your tools. The tunnel is a damp, echoing maw, smelling of ancient earth and stagnant water. It opens abruptly into a vast, subterranean workshop. The air here hums, a low, constant thrum of unseen machinery, thick with the very mica dust that led you here. It coats every surface, workbenches of scarred oak, racks of gleaming precision tools, shelves laden with raw minerals that catch the sparse utility lights and scatter rainbows across the cavernous space. This is the heart of the spider's web. Your gaze sweeps the room, a predator's careful assessment. On a heavy oak workbench, under a thin sheet of protective plastic, lies an intricate diagram. It is not a blueprint for a sculpture, nor a schematic for a clockwork marvel. It is a complex array of pressure plates and concealed triggers, reminiscent of a trap. A mechanism designed not for art, but for capture. A soft thump from an adjoining room, then the distinct scrape of a chair. Footsteps deliberate and unhurried, grow louder. You dive, a silent blur, behind a towering stack of polished obsidian slabs, your heart a frantic drum against your ribs. The air stills, thick with the scent of fear and ozone. As they confer, your eyes, darting from your hiding place, snag on a detail on an adjacent bench. A half-finished device, gleaming faintly, mirrors a component in the diagram before you. It is undeniably part of the same cool design. Then, your gaze falls lower, drawn to a small, ornate silver locket nestled amongst other tools, its surface catching the dim light. It is identical to the one found at the last crime scene, the locket that was empty when you discovered it. Here, however, it is not empty. The artisan turns, his eyes, unnervingly keen, sweep across the very spot where you crouch. You freeze, every muscle taut, your breath held captive in your chest. His gaze lingers, a phantom touch, before he moves on, seemingly satisfied. The moment stretches, thin and brittle as glass. You seize your chance, a ghost in the periphery. The damp tunnel air feels like a gasp of life. The game has changed something. Not dust, not grime. It possesses a peculiar grit, almost metallic, yet too soft for iron, too dark for aluminum. Your breath, a shallow plume, dissipates into the frigid air. This particulate, so minuscule, yet its presence here, in this meticulously sealed environment, speaks volumes. It clung to the fabric of the first victim's overcoat, a trace element dismissed as urban detritus. It was found in the faint creases of the second victim's leather briefcase, too insignificant to warrant further investigation by the initial team. Rows of silent keyboards, their keys dulled by disuse, stretch into the gloom. The film is here too, a ghostly patina on every surface, catching the anemic glow of your tactical flashlight. It is a constant, a thread weaving through the decades. This isn't just a location, it's a workshop, a staging ground. The killer uses this place, this relic of commerce, for something more than mere spectacle. You move with a hunter's quiet grace, your boots hushed on the polished concrete. Your gloved hand brushes against a workstation, pulling back a thin layer of the particulate. You bring it closer, examining its texture under the focused beam. A memory stirs, a forgotten detail from an old report, a specialized abrasive used in a very particular industrial process, one that requires intense heat and precision grinding. This specific abrasive was once manufactured by a defunct company, a minor player swallowed by a conglomerate decades ago. Its primary use, the polishing of high-grade optical lenses, and a sudden jolt, the finishing of bespoke metal components for a very niche market. A market tied to precision machinery, to intricate mechanisms. This is a pattern, a meticulously crafted narrative. The victims, disparate in their lives, shared one common thread, a connection, however tangential, to the original investigation that ruined you. But it wasn't just their connection. It was something else, something within them. You scan the dead screens again, a sudden clarity piercing the fog of your mind. Not just the film, but something else. A shuffle, not a stranger, not a phantom. A man whose face, once etched with authority, is now a mask of weary resentment. He holds a small, gleaming object in his hand, something that catches the minimal light. A precise, sharp tool, glinting. "Commander," you respond, your voice steady despite the seismic shift in your understanding. "I should have known." The meticulousness, the way the case was buried. "There, you buried it, Seth." A disgraced detective, a convenient fall guy. "While I understood the true nature of their depravity, while I saw the rot." Your mind races, connecting the dots with furious speed. The commander, obsessed with order, with control, always saw the world in stark binaries of right and wrong. He was the one who signed off on your dismissal, the one who oversaw the initial, bungled investigation. He was also the one who always wore a particular, antique pocket watch, a family heirloom, constantly fiddling with its intricate mechanism. The watches you breathe, the realization, a punch to the gut. The victims, they all own unique, valuable timepieces. You weren't just killing them, you were collecting a legacy, a morbid homage to your own perceived justice. The abrasive dust, the precision tools, the meticulous planning. It wasn't about the victims' lives, not directly. It was about their time, their stolen moments, their precision-crafted mechanisms. He was dismantling their legacies, as he felt his own had been dismantled. They deserved to have their time run out. The former commander snarls, taking a slow step forward. They were all connected to the families who ruined the city, the ones who let the decay fester. And you, Seth, you were too blind to see it. It's a watchmaker's file, honed to a razor's edge, meant for delicate work, now twisted into an instrument of malice. You sidestep, the air whistling past your ear as the steel glints. The former commander's movements are surprisingly agile for his age, fueled by a lifetime of simmering rage. You pivot, your back to a stack of dormant servers, the cold metal pressing against your spine. His eyes, burning with a fanatical zeal, lock onto yours. He sees not Seth Corbin, but a symbol, a final piece of his broken world. This ends tonight, Seth, he hisses, the file poised like a viper's fang. For all of us. But as he lunges again, you notice a detail, a final, definitive piece of evidence. Tucked into his belt, beneath his rumpled jacket, is a small, leather-bound notebook. Your name, Seth Corbin, is circled, underlined, and surrounded by a web of furious annotations. The true culprit, a figure from your past, stands before you, ready to close the final circuit of his vengeance. The glint of worn leather, the hasty scrawl of gears and springs, a sudden, stark illumination in the dimness. You recoil. The image burned into your mind even as the orchestrator's desperate lunge connects, a wild shoulder slanting into your chest. The air leaves your lungs in a ragged gasp, and you stumble back, the metallic tang of fear sharp on your tongue. He is not a fighter. His movements are clumsy, fueled by a frantic, consuming purpose. You twist, grappling with him. The struggle of frantic dance in the encroaching gloom. His breath, hot and stale against your ear, carries the scent of old paper and something acrid, like burnt circuitry. You push, he pulls, a frantic, uncoordinated ballet of desperation. The narrow corridor gives way to a wider space, and then, a sudden drop in temperature. A chilling silence that swallows the grunts and scuffles. The silence here is absolute, broken only by the echo of your heavy breathing. The air hangs heavy with the ghosts of ambition, the faint, lingering scent of caffeine and regret. The orchestrator scrambles to his feet, eyes wild, darting across the dormant terminals. He moves with a renewed urgency, a man possessed, towards a central console, a relic of a bygone era, its main screen larger, more imposing than the rest. The precision, not just a pattern, but a mechanism, like those clockwork schematics in your book. He pauses, his hand hovering over a series of ancient, dust-laden buttons on the console. His head turns slowly, his gaze locking onto yours, a mixture of recognition and a deep, bottomless despair. Meticulously drawn, you continue, taking a slow, deliberate step towards him, each sound amplified in the vast, empty space. Not for bombs, not for simple traps, but for control. To manipulate time, to rewind, to set things right. You gesture around the silent floor. This place, it's where time was bought and sold, where lives were decided by the tick of a digital clock. And someone, something, broke your clock. A bitter, humorless laugh escapes him, a dry rustle in the stillness. Broken? No, aligned. My future, her future, reduced us to numbers, to digits on a screen, gone with a single, precisely timed trade. This floor was the altar of their greed. He sweeps his hand across the dead screens, and now it is where their memory dies. Every record, every data point, every phantom echo of their avarice erased. You'll see it then. The device connected to the console isn't just uploading. It's a data wipe, an irreversible purge, designed to obliterate any trace of the precise, decades-old transactions that sparked his vengeance. His final act isn't another victim. It's an act of digital annihilation, a symbolic reset of the very system that destroyed him. He wants to erase the history that condemned him, to leave nothing but an empty slate. You won't get away with it, you state, your voice firmer now, the determination hardening your resolve. The years of doubt, the ghosts of your own failures, begin to recede, replaced by a singular, urgent clarity. The final tick of the mechanism. He turns back to the console, his fingers poised over the buttons. You launch yourself forward, a primal scream tearing from your throat. The distance between you and the orchestrator feels vast, infinite. He sees you coming, his eyes widening in a flicker of fear, but his hand doesn't hesitate. A low hum vibrates through the floor, a sound that seems to a man rise from the very bones of the building. The crimson light on his device flashes violently, then turns a solid, angry red. You are almost upon him, your outstretched hand reaching for the device, for the console, for anything to halt the inevitable. He pivots, not to fight, but to block, his body a desperate shield. You collide, a jarring impact that sends a jolt through your arm. The portable device, dislodged by the force, clatters to the floor, still glowing red, its hum intensifying. A sudden, sharp pain lances through your side as he shoves you back, his elbow catching you hard. You stumble, your vision blurring for a moment, the world tilting on its axis. He lunges for the device, his eyes fixed on its malevolent glow, his final act hanging precariously. Seconds from completion, the hum grows into a low growl, resonating through the deserted trading floor, a sound that promises obliteration. You have to stop him. Now, the data wipe, a digital guillotine poised over decades of secrets. You lunge, a primal surge of adrenaline eclipsing the weariness that had gnawed at your bones for weeks. Your hand slams down, not on the console, but on the killer's wrist, a desperate, scrambling grip. The stranger, whose face now contorted into a mask of pure, unadulterated fury, snarls, a sound ripped from deep within his chest. He twists, a surprising strength in his lean frame, and the device connected to the console flickers, a final, defiant pulse of light. Your fingers ache, straining against his grip. The dead screens around you, Thousands of inert eyes reflect the frantic dance of your shadows, a macabre ballet under the emergency fluorescence. A metallic tang fills your mouth, not blood, but the taste of desperate effort. He tries to pull away to complete the purge, his eyes wild, fixed on the console as if it were a lifeline. It's over. You rasp, your voice hoarse, raw. You twist his arm, leveraging your weight, forcing him away from the console, away from the symbolic digital annihilation he craved. A sharp crack echoes in a cavernous space. Not bone, but the sound of the device's cable tearing free from the console as he stumbles back. Momentum lost. The screen goes dark, then flickers to a static hum. The data wipe interrupted, incomplete. Before he can regain his footing, before the fire in his gaze can reignite into action, the heavy thud of boots on a polished floor announces the arrival. The lead detective, his face grim, his weapon raised, stands framed in the doorway, a stark silhouette against the emergency lighting of the corridor beyond. Behind him, other figures in tactical gear spill into the room, their movements precise, their presence a sudden, overwhelming force. This was just a cleansing. You watch as the uniformed officers secure him, their movements clinical, efficient. They cuff him, read him his rights, and lead him away, his head held high, a disturbing defiance in his stride. This was a cleansing. The words echo in your mind. A final, unsettling reveal of the depth of his twisted justice. He truly believed he was righteous, an executioner of forgotten wrongs, not a murderer. The decades-old transactions, the spark of his vengeance, were not just about money, but a perceived corruption he felt compelled to excise. The lead detective approaches you, his expression unreadable. Corbin, he says, the name a statement, not a question. He gestures to the console, then to the severed cable. You stopped him. It's a recognition, grudging perhaps, but clear. The evidence, the digital trail of a meticulously planned series of murders spanning decades, remains. The phantom killer, who never truly left, is finally unmasked. Justice, in its slow, grinding way, has begun to turn its wheels. You nod, unable to form words. The hum of distant server racks is the only sound, a mechanical heartbeat in the stillness. You walk to the console, the screen still blank where the purge was interrupted. A technician, already on site, begins to carefully photograph and bag the torn cable, the remnants of the killer's ambition. The lead detective places a hand on your shoulder, a brief, firm pressure. We'll need your full statement, Seth. But for now you did good. The words hang in the air, a foreign comfort. You look around the vast, silent space. The dead screens reflect nothing but the faint, clinical light. The labyrinth of old grudges, new suspects, and personal demons you navigated has led you here to this quiet, sterile resolution. You step out into the crisp night air. The city lights a distant blur against the dark sky. The air, cool and clean, fills your lungs, a stark contrast to the stale, recycled breath of the trading floor. The weight on your shoulders, the burden you've carried for so long, has lightened, but the scars remain. Justice served, yes, but the cost, the toll it took on you, Seth. That is a different ledger entirely. You feel the profound, quiet exhaustion of a war won, but not without leaving its mark. Each monitor, a dark rectangle, holds nothing but your own distorted reflection. A stranger etched with exhaustion and the residue of recent violence. Their tormentor is gone, a truth that settles in your bones, heavy and immutable. You trace the path you took, the angles of observation, the precise vectors of escape and capture. Every detail, once a fragment, now snaps into a coherent whole. The killer's meticulous design, the cruel elegance of their methods, unfurls itself in your mind's eye, a tapestry woven with threads of obsession and malice. It wasn't just the victims they hunted. It was the game, the intricate dance of evasion and pursuit, the intellectual challenge they presented to anyone foolish enough to follow. A shuffle of footsteps breaks the profound quiet. You turn, your posture still coiled, a habit too ingrained to shed. It's the detective, their face a mistake of fatigue and grudging respect. They stop a few paces away, hands clasped behind their back, eyes scanning the sterile expanse of the floor. It's done, Seth. The detective states, their voice low, almost reverent. Every piece accounted for, every loose end tied. Thanks to you. The words are a balm, a cool compress on the raw wounds of your past. They don't erase the years of scorn, the professional exile, but they begin to mend the fissures in your reputation. You nod a slight inclination of your head, acknowledging the offering without fully accepting it. The cost was too high for simple validation. The pattern, you begin, your voice raspy, the way they chose the locations, the specific timing of the attacks. It wasn't just about the victims, was it? It was about the message. The detective shifts, a flicker of understanding crossing their features. We're still piecing together the full psychological profile, but you're right. More than just opportunity or motive. There was a performance to it. You walk towards one of the dead screens, its surface a mirror. You point to your own reflection, then to the empty space beyond. They weren't just killing, they were erasing. Each victim, a shadow of someone else. And the final act here, a place of information, of data, of presence, reduced to nothing. The detective steps closer, following your gaze. The final reveal, they muse. You remember the meticulous notes, the almost obsessive archiving of seemingly mundane details from the past cases. The killer hadn't just returned. They had been replaying their own history, a morbid retrospective. But why? Not just anniversaries of the old cases, but the precise dates of the media coverage of those cases. The day the news broke, the day the public first learned. They weren't just recreating the murders, they were recreating the moment of discovery. The detective's eyes widen, a dawning horror mirroring your own. They were trying to make us relive it, force us to witness it again, just as we did the first time. The tension in the air solidifies a tangible presence. They weren't merely hunting, they were curating a gallery of suffering, and you, Seth Corbin, had been forced to walk its halls once more. You turn from the screens, the images of the past no longer haunting, but sharply defined, understood. The ghosts aren't entirely laid to rest, but their stories are finally, definitively told. The burden on your shoulders feels lighter, not because it's gone, but because you've learned to carry it, to understand its weight and its purpose. What now, Seth? The detective asks, their voice softer, less official. You look around the midnight trading floor with dead screens, this mausoleum of ambition and loss. Your old life, the one you fought so desperately to reclaim, feels distant, a faded photograph. The world you left, the rules you broke, they can't be unmade. And I know how to find it. The experience has etched itself into your very being, a permanent scar that serves as a compass. You won't return to the neat confines of a badge and a desk. You are no longer just Seth Corbin, the disgraced detective. You are something new, something forged in the crucible of this ordeal. A seeker of truths others dare not touch. The peace you find is not one of quiet retirement, but of a sharpened resolve, a new beginning carved from the very end of your old world. The tension remains, a hum beneath your skin, a readiness for the next echo from the labyrinth.